Hi, my name is Jenna and today I'm here doing my July wrap up and my August TBR. In July I actually participated in 2 readathons. I participated in the biannual bibliothon and the booktubeathon. For the biannual bibliothon I only managed to finish 1 book and therefore I didn't do a wrap up video, so I will talk about that book in this video. However, for the booktubeathon I managed to read 5 books, so I'm not going to talk about them too much in this video. Instead I am dedicating a booktubeathon wrap up video which will be going up sometime next week, so stay tuned for that. So the first book that I finished in July and the one that I read for the biannual bibliothon was City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. City of Heavenly Fire is the final book in the Mortal Instruments series and I love it. 2 pieces. I think this book does a fantastic job of wrapping up Clary and Jace's storyline while also introducing Emma, who is the protagonist of the Dark Artificers. It really introduces her and Julian and those characters, which will continue on into the Dark Artificers series, which I still have not read. The one thing I will say about this book, and I still gave the book 5 stars because I thought it was a really well done finale. I loved it. I adore these characters and I think what happened to them, I mean, I cried again at the end of this book. I was like, ugh. But I think that it all worked really well. One thing I do have to say though is the amount of references to Tessa and Jem and Will killed me because I don't like the Infernal Devices, like, at all. And there were a lot of references to that in this book, and there was actually some setting up of the sequel trilogy to Infernal Devices, and I was just like, ah. So fun fact actually, I read this book back when it came out in 2014 before I had read any of the Infernal Devices books. So basically I completely spoiled myself for the ending of Infernal Devices, and that's one of the reasons why I never bothered to read the trilogy until now. So all in all, amazing book, loved it, 5 out of 5 stars. The second book that I read in the month of July was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. Before we go any further, I just want to point out that the American cover of this book is a million times better than the Australian UK version. Like, I purposefully splurged and bought the American hardcover edition, which is in Australia kind of expensive, because the Australian cover looks terrible. I'm sorry, but it does. It looks awful. I don't like it, and that actually affected one of the reasons why I did not want to read this book for the longest time. The other reason was when this book first came out, I don't know, it wasn't something I was super interested in. I know everyone was saying it was a really important read, something everyone had to read, but for me personally I was like, yeah, no, I'm not really into it. Then I saw the trailer for the film and I went, okay, yeah, no, I can sort of start to see where people are coming from. I need to read this book. Once I started it, I literally could not put it down. I read it over the course of a 24-hour period. It was fantastic. These characters were so lifelike, so believable. What they were going through was so horrible, and the way the book ended, it ended with me feeling super frustrated. Not so much at how the book ended, but frustrated that this is a very accurate representation of what we see in the media and in our real lives, and that frustrated me to no end because I just sort of went, but that's not fair. And I'm pretty sure that was kind of what Angie Thomas was going for. She wasn't out to write a fairy tale, she was out to write real life, and I think she definitely succeeded. One thing I will say about this book is it took me ages to get used to the style, especially when it came to Star and her family and her friends talking. I really struggled with that to begin with, but I ended up really being able to read it, and like I said, it was such a quick read. But I agree, it is a really important read and I do think everyone should read it. But if you have the option, get this cover because it's a million times better. The next book I read was actually the YA Circle's book of the month for July, and that was Bound by Fleur Farris, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars. This book was not good. So basically, and a lot of people in my book club had the same opinion, this would have been a much better movie than it is a book because basically it reads like the bare bones of a screenplay. We jump into the action straight away in the first chapter and then it is just go from there. The characters were really one-dimensional and were just not fleshed out at all. One of the characters, he's actually a point of view character, Jonah, he was completely unnecessary and was just a complete plot device to move the plot forward. That was his entire reasoning for being here. The plot itself was really unbelievable and super predictable, and I just could not get behind it, especially being in the Australian setting that it was. It didn't work. Unfortunately, I wasn't a big fan of this one, and I'm actually unlikely to pick up any of Fleur's books in the future because I have heard from my friends in my book club that they're all apparently really the same, formulaic, just gets to the point without a lot of character development. I don't think you really need characters to make a good book, but it definitely helps. And then the next 2 books were part of the booktubeathon, so I'm not really going to talk about them much. much. The next book that I finished in July, and also the first book that I finished for the booktubeathon, was The Perfectionist by Sarah Shepherd, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. This is a new-ish series from Sarah Shepherd. She is the author of the Pretty Little Liars series, and the reason I wanted to pick this one up was because Pretty Little Liars The Perfectionist comes out next year, and I am a huge Pretty Little Liars fan. I am so super pumped to see this new show. I know that they're once again taking the really bare bones of the book and making it into a TV show, because that's what they did with PLL, and the fact that Pretty Little Liars is not in this at all, and even just with the 5 main characters of girls in this, that's not who we're getting on the show. I found this a really fun book. I love the characters, I love the plot, there was a little bit of mystery, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the sequel. And the last book that I read in July, and the second book I read for the booktubeathon, was Joyride by Guy Adams, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. So Joyride is the first of the Class novels. Class was a TV show on BBC. It was a spin-off from Doctor Who. This book felt like I was reading a Class episode. While sometimes that can be a bad thing, in this situation it was a really good thing. It meant that I really connected with the characters because they felt exactly like they did when I saw them on screen. The plot was something that I thought I could definitely see from a Class episode, and overall I just really loved this book. So you have it, those are the 5 books that I read in the month of July, and now I'm going to be doing my August TBR. My August TBR is going to be a little bit different because this is the month that I am actually moving to America, so I really do not know how much reading I'm going to be getting done. I am literally flying out a week tomorrow, so I don't expect me to read a lot once I kind of get there, because I don't know how I'm going to settle in. I don't know how I'm going to read yet. I haven't really come up with that, so I'm going to still do my TBR jar challenge, and I do have one book that I want to finish, and I want to kind of try to finish both those books before I leave on Tuesday, but we will see. So the first book I am determined to finish before I leave, that is Hunted by Megan Spooner. I am currently 212 pages in, and it is a 374 page book. I just want it to be over. I'm not enjoying it. I was really looking forward to it because it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I'm not enjoying it. It's not a very good read for me personally, so I want to get it finished though. I want it done before I leave. And a TBR jar challenge. I have been thinking about whether or not I'm going to continue with the TBR jar challenge when I'm in the States, because I'm not taking the jar. Obviously I could just take the pieces of paper. Yeah, the point of the TBR jar challenge though is to read books on my own shelf, which obviously I won't have access to, so read a sequel. Hey, there we go, read a sequel. The Good Girls by Sarah Shepherd. This is the sequel to The Perfectionists, and I kind of wanted to read this one before I left anyway, so yay, that works out so well. And there we go, those are all of the books that I read in July, and the 2 books that I'm planning on reading in the next week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you have read any of these books. I would absolutely love to know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.